Hello and welcome. If you're here, you made it through another day. That's enough. Whatever the day held, the noise, the rushing around, the small moments and the long hours, it's behind you now. Right now, there's only this. A quiet voice, a soft glow, or maybe no light at all, and a little stretch of time that's just for you. Go ahead and settle into your most comfortable spot. Let your body sink into wherever you're resting. If your shoulders feel a little tense, just let them drop. If your jaw is tight, soften it. You don't need to hold on to anything right now. You don't need to be anywhere else. You're already right where you need to be. Take a slow breath in, through your nose, and let it go gently through your mouth. One more time, breathing in, nice and slow, and out, easy. No rush at all, nowhere to be. Tonight, we're going to drift together. We're going to travel somewhere very, very far away. And yet, somewhere that's always been right above us, waiting quietly in the dark. We're going to spend some time with the stars. Not in any exciting way, not loud or dramatic, just gently, softly, the way the stars themselves seem to exist, slowly, patiently, without any hurry at all. If you'd like to leave a like or subscribe before we drift off, that would be lovely, but there's no pressure. You can simply close your eyes and let the words carry you. We're going to drift through the quiet life of stars together. There's something very old and very soft about looking up at the night sky. Most of us have done it at some point, standing outside on a clear night, sitting near a window, or lying on our backs somewhere quiet, just looking up. And for a moment, the world gets a little smaller, a little less urgent, a little more still. The stars have always been there, every night. Of every life that has ever been lived on this planet, those same patterns of light have waited overhead. Sailors once followed them across open water. Farmers watched them to know when to plant and when to harvest. Children gave them names and wove stories around them. And on quiet nights like this one, people have looked up and felt something hard to put into words. Something like peace, a gentle kind of wonder, the kind that doesn't ask anything of you. It just is. What we're going to explore tonight isn't the dramatic side of the cosmos. We're not going to talk about collisions or explosions or anything that feels urgent. Instead, we'll spend our time with something much more peaceful. The ordinary, beautiful, patient life that a star lives for most of its existence. Because here's something most people don't really think about. Stars aren't events. They aren't sudden flashes. They're slow, ancient, ongoing things. A star like our Sun has been doing essentially the same thing, quietly, for billions of years. It burns its fuel so steadily, so remarkably consistently, that scientists describe it almost the way you might describe a very reliable, very old heartbeat. Slow, deep, continuous. That steadiness, that long, quiet patience is what we're going to sit with tonight. We'll drift gently through what happens deep inside a star's heart. We'll spend time with light that wanders for thousands of years before it finally slips free into the open. We'll visit white dwarf stars cooling slowly in the dark, their cores quietly becoming something almost impossibly beautiful. And through all of it, we'll move slowly. There's no hurry, nothing to memorize. You're just here to float along, gently, wherever the words take you. So let your eyes close, if they haven't already. Let your breathing stay slow and easy. And let's begin. Deep inside every star, something very quiet is always happening. It isn't loud. You couldn't hear it if you tried. And you couldn't see it directly. The heart of a star is hidden beneath layers and layers of glowing gas. buried so deep that even light, the fastest thing we know of, takes a very long time to find its way out. But deep in that hidden center, something is always gently going on, something ancient, something steady. The way scientists usually describe it is this: a star is a place where the weight of its own enormous size presses inward, very, very hard, and right at the center of all that pressure, atoms, tiny, tiny pieces of matter, are squeezed together so closely and under such enormous force that something remarkable happens. Two small atoms merge into one slightly larger atom, and in that small, quiet act of merging, a little bit of energy is released. You might picture it like this. Imagine pressing two very soft things together with your hands, gently but firmly, for a very long time. Eventually, they become one, and in becoming one, they give off a little warmth. That's what a star is doing, in the simplest sense, all the time, in its deepest place. Two atoms of hydrogen, pressed together by gravity, quietly fusing into one atom of helium, releasing, in that merging, a tiny thread of warmth and light. And the star does this not once, not 1,000 times, but constantly, over billions of years, over a timescale so long and so peaceful that our minds can barely hold the shape of it. A star like our Sun has already been doing this for about 4.5 billion years, and it has roughly the same stretch of time left to go. 4.5 billion years of quiet, of gentle merging, deep inside, while the surface glows and the light drifts outward into the dark. There's something deeply restful about that, isn't there? A process so steady, so unhurried, so patient, that time itself seems to slow down around it. And that warmth, that light born from all those tiny gentle fusions, that's what eventually travels outward across millions of miles and reaches your window on a sunny afternoon. It's old light, slow light. Light that was born in a moment of quiet merging, deep underground, long before it ever found the open sky. We are warmed by the patience of stars. Once a tiny thread of light is born in the heart of a star, its journey outward begins. And it's not a fast journey, not at all. You might think that light, being the fastest thing in the universe, would escape almost right away. In open space, that's true. Light covers vast distances very quickly. But inside a star, things are different. The material is so dense, so tightly packed, that light doesn't travel in a straight line. Instead, it bounces. It drifts, it moves one direction, glances off something, then wanders another way. Scientists describe it as a kind of slow, meandering walk, a random path through an enormous densely crowded space. You might picture it like trying to cross a very, very large room filled with millions of gently floating balloons. You wouldn't move in a straight line. You'd bump this way, then that way, slowly finding your path through all that softness. The light born at a star's center may take an extraordinarily long time, many thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years, to drift from the core all the way to the surface, bumping gently, slowly, wandering through all that warm, glowing material, quietly making its way outward, and then, finally, it reaches the surface. It's released, and it flies out into the open dark of space. 8 minutes later, just 8 short minutes of travelling at the speed of light, it arrives here, at Earth. It warms your skin. It lights the afternoon. A leaf absorbs it, or a rooftop, or the surface of the sea. Think about that journey for a moment. Hundreds of thousands of years of slow drifting, bumping softly through the inside of a star, wandering patiently through warmth and pressure and golden light. And then, finally, a few minutes of open flight and arrival. There's something quietly beautiful in that. All the sunlight that has ever touched your face has travelled that long, slow, patient road. The universe, it seems, isn't always in a hurry. Sometimes the most important things move very, very slowly, drifting through the dark until they find where they're meant to be. For most of its life, a star doesn't change very much. This is, when you think about it, one of the most peaceful facts in all of astronomy. A star settles into a kind of balance, a long, quiet equilibrium, and then it simply stays there, doing what it does, for an enormous stretch of time. Scientists call this the main sequence phase. It's not a dramatic name, and it's not a dramatic time. It's simply the long, steady middle of a star's life, the part where everything is balanced, nothing changes quickly, and the star just quietly goes on being a star. The balance works like this. In the simplest terms, gravity wants to pull the star inward and collapse it, but the energy being released at the center pushes gently outward. These two forces, the pull inward, the push outward, hold each other in such a precise, steady balance that the star just sits there, glowing, for billions of years. You might think of it like a very deep breath, held perfectly still. Breathe in, that's gravity, pulling inward. Breathe out, that's the energy, pushing gently back. Now imagine holding that breath, perfectly balanced, for 4 billion years. That's what a main sequence star does. Our sun has been in this balanced, quiet state since long before life appeared on Earth, before the first fish swam in the first ocean, before the first fern unrolled in the first forest, before any creature ever looked up at the sky. The sun was already quietly burning, already steadily balanced, already patient and warm, and it will keep going that way for a very, very long time still. There's something deeply grounding in that. Through all the change and movement of life on Earth, the seasons turning, the generations passing, the cities rising and falling, the sun has simply continued, steady, quiet, present, asking nothing, giving warmth. The long life of a star is, perhaps, a kind of model for stillness, for the deep rest that comes not from doing nothing, but from doing the same gentle thing over and over, without hurry and without complaint. And as you rest here tonight, maybe you can feel something of that steadiness in yourself, just breathing, just being still, just gently continuing, the way stars do. The light that leaves a star doesn't stop when it leaves. It just keeps going, in every direction, quietly, at the same speed, outward into the open dark, spreading gently, in great invisible spheres, like ripples from a stone dropped in still water. Except these ripples never stop. They don't slow down. They don't fade away. They just continue, dimming softly with distance, drifting out across the vast, dark quiet between the stars. Some of that light, after travelling for years, in some cases many thousands of years, eventually reaches another place, a planet, or a moon, or a cloud of floating dust. Something absorbs it. Something is touched by a warmth that left its source a long, long time ago. When you look up at a star on a clear night, the light entering your eyes is very old. Even the nearest stars beyond our sun are so far away that their light takes years to reach us, and the more distant ones, the faint ones right at the edge of what your eye can make out, their light may have left its source hundreds of years ago. Some of those stars may not even exist anymore, not in quite the same form, yet their light is still travelling, still arriving, still softly touching the back of your eye on a quiet evening. You might think of the night sky as a kind of soft museum. Every point of light is a message from the past, travelling across an unimaginable distance, gently arriving right now. And you, looking up, are the quiet receiver of all those ancient, patient messages. There's a certain stillness in that thought, isn't there? The universe, drifting gently through time, light wandering softly through the dark, and you, here, at the end of all that long travelling, just resting, just receiving. Stars don't shout. They don't demand to be noticed. They simply glow, quietly and continuously, sending their light in all directions, trusting that somewhere, eventually, it will arrive. There's something very gentle in that, very patient. And as you lie here, drifting slowly towards sleep, maybe you can feel a little of that patience settling over you, the way light drifts, the way stars wait, the way the universe moves, vast and unhurried, through the long, quiet dark. At some point, very far in the future, a star like our sun will come to a gentle kind of ending, not a dramatic one. Nothing dramatic tonight. This particular kind of ending is quiet and slow, and in its own way, surprisingly beautiful. When a star like our sun has slowly used up the fuel at its centre, over a stretch of time almost too long to imagine, it will gradually release its outer layers into space, very gently, almost like a soft exhale, and what remains at the centre will be something small and dense and quietly glowing. Scientists call it a white dwarf. A white dwarf is, simply put, the remaining core of a star. It's no longer burning fuel the way it once was. It's no longer making new energy deep inside. It's just cooling, very, very slowly, releasing the warmth it stored up, almost like a stone that soaked up the afternoon sun and is now gently giving that warmth back to the night air. White dwarfs cool over an enormous span of time, longer than the current age of the universe, scientists believe, which means every white dwarf that exists right now is still warm, still glowing faintly, still releasing, very slowly, the light of a life that has already come to its quiet close. And here's perhaps the most quietly beautiful thing we'll talk about tonight. As a white dwarf cools over billions of years, the material in its core, mostly carbon and oxygen, begins to arrange itself in a very specific, very orderly way. The atoms line up. They settle into a crystal structure. And the core of the white dwarf, over that unimaginable stretch of cooling time, gradually becomes something that scientists describe as being similar in structure to a diamond core, slowly forming deep inside a cooling star in the dark and the quiet of space. Over billions of years, with no one watching, some of these diamond-cored white dwarfs are enormous, their crystalline hearts spanning distances that would take a very long time to cross, just sitting there in the dark, quietly crystalline, cool and patient and old. You might think of it this way: the universe, left alone, slowly turns some of its stars into something precious, not in a hurry, not for any particular reason, just because that's what happens, quietly, when there's enough time and enough patience and enough cold, dark space. There's no better image for rest than that, something ancient and warm, slowly, gently cooling into something crystalline and still, something that was once bright and burning, becoming quiet, patient, solid, at peace. Between every star and every other star, there's something vast and deeply quiet. Space itself. We sometimes think of space as emptiness, and in many ways it is. There's very little matter drifting between the stars. No air, no sound, no warmth. Just an almost unimaginable amount of nothing, stretching in every direction, dark and still and patient. And yet, that space isn't entirely empty. Drifting through it very slowly are thin wisps of gas and dust, leftover material from stars that already lived their long lives. These clouds drift so slowly and are spread so thinly that they're almost nothing, and yet they're there, gently present, scattered across the dark like the softest possible fog. Sometimes, over a very long time, gravity begins to pull some of that drifting gas and dust together, very gently, very gradually, a little more here, a little more there, slowly gathering, slowly thickening, over millions of years, and eventually, without any hurry at all, a new star begins to form. The same atoms that once burned inside an old star, that once played their part in that long warm life, drift out into space. And then, many millions of years later, they drift slowly back together into something new, a new star, a new warmth, a new beginning, made from old material. You might think of it like this: the universe recycles its warmth. Nothing is truly lost. The atoms that were once inside a star, that once took part in that long, quiet fusion, they continue. They drift, they cool, they gather, they begin again. And here's something very gentle and very worth resting with. The atoms that make up your body, the carbon, the oxygen, the iron in your blood, were at some point in the very distant past inside a star. Scientists believe this to be true. Material from ancient stars, released into space over billions of years, eventually became part of the cloud of gas and dust from which our solar system formed, which means you, in a quiet and literal way, are made of old starlight. You're part of that great, slow, patient cycle. You're not separate from it. You're woven into it, as gently and as surely as everything else. And as you drift here in the quiet, on the edge of sleep, maybe it's enough to simply feel that, to feel that you belong to something vast and old and very, very still, something that has always been here, patiently glowing, patiently drifting, patiently going on, and will continue long after this quiet night has passed. We've drifted a long way tonight. We started in the deep heart of a star, in that quiet, hidden place where two small atoms gently press together and release a thread of warmth. We followed that warmth on its long, slow, wandering journey outward, bumping softly through thousands of years of golden density before finally slipping free into the open dark. We spent time with the long, steady middle of a star's life, that vast stretch of patient balance, where gravity and energy hold each other in perfect stillness, year after year, billion after billion. We thought about how our sun has been doing this quiet work since long before any living thing looked up to notice. We let our thoughts drift across the open space between the stars, where ancient light travels slowly in all directions, carrying its old message outward, until one night it quietly arrives at your eye, and we rested a while with white dwarfs, those cool, patient remnants cooling slowly in the dark, their ancient cores crystallizing into something like diamond, vast and quiet and still, with no one watching, and no hurry at all. And we remembered, gently, that the space between the stars isn't truly empty. Old material drifts there, slowly gathering, slowly forming new things from old warmth. And you, somehow, are part of that same cycle, made of atoms that were once inside a star, resting now on a small warm planet at the edge of an ordinary galaxy on a quiet night. The universe doesn't rush. The stars don't worry. They simply continue, gently, slowly, steadily, glowing in the dark, fusing their atoms, releasing their warmth, cooling in their time. And you can rest in that tonight. You can let the vastness of it hold you, softly. You don't need to understand it all. You don't need to remember any of it. Just let it drift through you, the way light drifts through space, gently, without effort, without direction, without hurry. Just drifting, just here, in the quiet. The stars are patient, and tonight, so are you. And so, we come to rest here. There's nothing left to do tonight, nothing to think about, or plan, or remember. All of that can wait. The stars will still be there in the morning, quietly doing what they've always done, steadily, patiently, without any need for your attention. You can simply sleep now. Let your breathing slow, even more than it already has. Let your thoughts grow softer, more distant, like lights fading at the far edge of a very dark sky. Let your body settle, heavy and warm, into whatever is beneath you. You're safe. You're still. You're here. If you're still awake and would like another quiet journey, there are other videos waiting for you. Other gentle topics, other slow voices, other dark and patient corners of the universe to drift through together. But there's no hurry. They'll be there whenever you're ready. For now, just rest. Good night. Sleep gently. And wherever your dreams take you tonight, may they be slow and warm and very, very quiet.